Personally, and because of the way that I was trained, I would never force my subjective beliefs on anybody or claim that they must be believed because of some aspect of authority. The way I see it, it's kind of like if I were trying to tell you what flavor of ice cream you should adopt as your favorite. Why would I even desire to make chocolate chip cookie dough your go-to choice? That doesn't make much sense to me. The thing about truly subjective topics is there's no underlying logic for our choices. They're often just irrational and based off our feelings. We can't analyze why you made your decision. We only know that we have ours, and we should be able to respect yours as well. If you are attempting to find a counter-argument to that, likely you're trying to figure out how my choice or someone else's choice could have some impact. That is the realm of ethics. The ethical branch of philosophy began to develop as soon as humans sought to explain how they should interact with one another. Stories about how we should treat nature and other people were passed around as oral tradition. These stories, whether spoken or written, developed in humanity a sense of good and bad, how one should act and how one should not act. The sharing of this wisdom encouraged a number of individuals in a wide variety of societies throughout the ages to develop the negative golden rule. Do not do to others as you would not have done to yourself. This was one of the first principles of ethics that we derived in our newly created societies that allowed us to interact with other people without just using our feelings, which could often be negative. Instead of just using our amygdala, the brain's emotional center, to guide our interactions, we now had a tool to break down barriers that allowed us to establish trade routes and more. In the same way that we went from our bare hands to using stone tools and then moving on from there, we decided to move beyond that single principle. In the 6th century BC, Chinese philosophers made great contributions to the groundwork of philosophy. Kongzi, or Confucius as we Westerners call him, made the bulk of the contributions. Later, Plato and Socrates in ancient Greece would make their contributions as well. Civilizations throughout the ages made deep and vast intellectual contributions to this topic. Thanks to this network of knowledge and wisdom, there are a wide number of moral theories on many different topics. Some have their merits, others have their drawbacks, but without this subject ever being taught, how could we adequately assess whether or not they are fair to believe, or whether or not they may have some problem with them? In the majority of cases, the development of these tools doesn't happen naturally. So we should be asking ourselves, if we don't really have the tools, then can we really analyze our own thoughts? It's likely in that case that we aren't really the ones in charge of what we are saying and what we are doing. It's either our feelings that will always get the better of us, or it's what somebody else told us and we internalized. If we continue to absorb media but don't really know how to adequately assess whether or not it's good, bad, or what it's really teaching us, then according to psychology, we're not really the ones in charge. Ethics is not what everyone else believes, because what everyone else believes may be wrong. Ethics is the study of morality. It is the attempt to develop a set of standards or principles by which an individual can be guided on how to interact with another person, or even the global culture we are now developing. It gives a framework of one's responsibilities and duties to oneself and society to create positive change. In a sense, it is the development of a way for society to function most efficiently for the benefit of the species. Philosophy and science have the same roots. They just branched because science concerns itself with the external, minus all human interaction and bias, while philosophy mainly concerns itself with the internal. The tools that are provided by understanding and applying ethical philosophy allow anyone to independently come to similar conclusions, and these conclusions can be evaluated by other fields to show a positive, negative, or neutral effect. Also, one should note that religion isn't entirely the same thing as moralistic philosophy, as ethics attempts to cultivate a single set of generalized principles that are objective and repeatable, so that everyone has a shot at understanding how they should act and do it on their own without having somebody tell them what to do, as a preacher would. All of this underlies every social justice discussion, and it's often discussed in science as well. I do hope that I've convinced you that it is necessary to understand this topic, or at least be familiar with it and be willing to learn more about it as it comes by. After all, this isn't common sense. You actually have to either experience problems with other people's ethics and understand that interaction, or you have to have some level of familiarity with the topic. If I haven't, then let me illustrate using something that's common sense to me. What would you do if I locked you in a room with 3 radiation detectors and told you that the area was contaminated with a radioisotope? Would you know how much time you have left? Would you be able to tell me, in order for you to have your freedom back, what decay method that isotope was using? We need tools, knowledge, and experience combined in order to solve a problem, whether it be in a contaminated room or in a contaminated mind. We cannot determine without those things how to save ourselves from damage, or how to prevent ourselves from hindering other people's lives. Know that you are incredible, and please stay safe. Until next time, bye.